So, you're dreaming of moving to Geneva, right? Amazing city. But there's always that one big question, isn't there? What's it really going to cost? Well, today we are diving deep into the numbers to find out if it's actually doable.
All right, let's just get straight to the point. We're talking about a 60,000 Swiss franc salary. Is that enough for a couple to live, comfortably in Geneva? Or is that famous high cost of living just gonna eat it all up? This is the $1 million, or I guess the 160,000 franc, question for pretty much every expat looking to make the leap.
And hey, you are definitely not alone in asking this. Seriously, relocation experts see this all the time. Newcomers who totally underestimate just how pricey things like housing and taxes can be in Geneva. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down the real numbers and see what that 160K salary looks like once the bills have had their say.
Okay, let's start with the big one, the elephant in the room, rent. Honestly, this is probably going to be your single biggest expense. Geneva's rental market is, well, it's notoriously competitive, even for Switzerland, and it is going to take a huge bite out of your income. So what are we talking about in actual numbers? Well, if you're looking for a decent 2 or 3 room apartment in a good spot, somewhere central, maybe near the lake or downtown, you should brace yourself. You're looking at somewhere between 2,700 and 3,400 francs every single month. And let's zoom out for a second. Annually, that can climb all the way up to 40,800 francs just for rent. I mean, think about that. That is a massive chunk of your salary gone before you've even thought about taxes or food or anything else. All right, so we've got rent covered. Now let's talk about the stuff that disappears from your paycheck before it even hits your bank account, the mandatory deductions. So out of that 160,000 franc gross salary, you can pretty much wave goodbye to about 21% for income tax right off the bat. Then another 11% goes to social contributions. What's left? About 68% is what you actually get to take home. And it's important to remember, Swiss taxes are handled at the cantonal level. And yeah, Geneva's are a bit on the higher side. But hey, that's what pays for all that amazing infrastructure, right? Let's put that into cold, hard cash. We're talking roughly 33,000 francs for income tax and another 18,000 for social security. All of a sudden, that 160K salary feels a little different, doesn't it? Oh, and we're not done yet with the must-haves. Health insurance. This is another big one. You need to budget around 400 to 500 francs per person per month. So for a couple, you can double that. And yeah, Geneva's premiums are some of the highest in Switzerland, so you absolutely have to factor this in from day one. Okay, so after rent, taxes, and insurance have taken their slice of the pie, what's actually left for, living? Let's get into the day-to-day costs that really define your lifestyle. For groceries, you're probably looking at around 1,000 francs a month for 2 people. Getting around? A public transport pass for both of you will be about 200 francs. And for the fun stuff, eating out, grabbing a drink, seeing a movie, you'll want to budget somewhere around 800 francs. And just to give you some perspective, a simple dinner for 2 can easily set you back 100 to 140 francs. But look, it's not all just about spending money. It is possible to save. Take Mark and Alina, a couple who moved over from Lyon. They found that with some careful budgeting, they can actually stash away about 1,500 francs a month. And they're still enjoying everything Geneva has to offer, from walks by the lake to hitting the slopes. So the numbers are adding up, and it looks like this is totally doable. But of course, before you can start enjoying that Geneva life, you have to get there first. So let's talk about the logistics of the actual move.
And let's be real, an international move is a whole other beast. You've got customs, you've got transport, all the packing. Honestly, getting professional movers who know the ins and outs of Geneva is absolutely key to starting off on the right foot. So the question is, how do you find the right movers without completely blowing your budget? Well, the smart way to do it is actually pretty simple. You send out one single request with all your move details, then you sit back and get multiple quotes from verified professional companies. And then you just pick the one that works best for you. I mean, you could spend days, even weeks, calling movers one by one. It's super time-consuming, and it's almost impossible to compare apples to apples. Or you could do it the smarter way, with a platform like Transportica.ch. It just streamlines the entire process. You can easily compare quotes from movers they've already checked out, and you could end up saving a ton of money. We're talking up to 75%. And it really does work. We've got a quote here from a user, John D., who said, "I received several quotes and chose the best value. Quick and hassle-free service." And honestly, that hassle-free part, during a big international move, that's priceless. So, if a move to Geneva is on your horizon, do yourself a favor and make it easier. These guys have been doing European relocations for over 20 years. You can get free, totally no obligation quotes to start your planning right now at Transportica.ch. Okay, so we've covered the huge cost of housing, we've gone through taxes, daily living expenses, and even how to get all your stuff there. Now it's time to put it all together and get the final verdict on our big question.
So here's the bottom line. After all the taxes and mandatory costs are gone, your net income is sitting at about 88,200 francs. Once you subtract all those annual living expenses we talked about, you're left with around 17,000 francs. That breaks down to about 1,400 francs a month that you can put towards savings, travel, investments, whatever you want.
So back to the big question. Is 160,000 francs enough? The final verdict is yes. It is enough for a couple to live a comfortable life in Geneva. Now, you absolutely have to be smart with your money and budget carefully, but it is 100% doable. All right, now for the really fun part. Now that you know you can actually afford it, where would you choose to live? Would you go for the vibrant, bustling vibe of Plain Palais, or maybe something a bit more chill by the lake in Eau Vives? And what about that leisure budget we talked about? After all the boxes are unpacked, what's the very first restaurant or little lakeside cafe you'd head up? And finally, the ultimate Geneva question. The Alps are literally right there. Which famous ski resort is going to be your go-to for weekend trips? Chamonix? Verbier? Something to dream about, right? Thanks for joining us for this one.